Hello everyone and welcome to the 2021 FLL season introduction video. This is an idea to give you an overview of kind of how the program works, a little bit of an introduction, just so you kind of know what you're headed for, what you're getting into, to make sure that the program is a good fit for you and your child and your family, to make sure that this is something that'll work for you. But first, a little bit about me. I am Mr. English. I've been running our robotics program at the Ryan Intermediate level and elementary levels for about 6 years now. I've taught third grade for about 16 years here at Gull Lake. I am married to my lovely wife, Chris, who's been involved with robotics with our two boys, Sam and Ben. Sam just graduated from K College about a year ago and is still in that job hunt after that crazy COVID year, and my son Ben survived his first year at Eastern and is going to be a sophomore next year. They're going to go back in person finally, and I have some exciting news for myself. I am actually no longer a third grade teacher for the first time in over 16 years. I'm not going to be a third grade teacher. I am moving into what's called the STEM lab at Ryan Intermediate. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There's going to be a great focus on the technology and engineering portion of that. Here at Ryan, we have a program called Project Lead the Way we're going to teach to all of the kids, kind of like a special where their class will come down here to the STEM lab and we'll do something together. And then there's also another part that's more of a pull-out sort of program, and I can talk to you a lot more about that at a different time if you're interested. But it's going to be a great experience for all the kids here at Ryan, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. It's going to be pretty awesome, and I'm really excited to be a part of that change. A little bit about our whole program, our whole robotics program. It starts with what used to be called FLL Junior. Most people still call it FLL Junior, but it's been renamed to FLL Explore. This starts at kindergarten, 1st and 2nd graders. And they do an awesome job of putting together a project with at least one moving part, and it's usually connected with the same projects that we're doing here at the FLL level. The first LEGO League, and I apologize to those that know some of these kids, you will know that these pictures are a little bit old. I just haven't had time to put in some new pictures yet this year. So just know that I know that some of these pictures have been around for a couple of years now. But first LEGO League, we put together a robot, we put together a project. The kids go to a competition where they perform with that robot and perform their project for some judges and get rated. A little bit more on that as we kind of talk more about the program later in the presentation. We also had 4 First Tech Challenge teams. And you'll notice that their robots are a bit bigger, a bit more sophisticated, but still student-run, student-led. The students build, the students program those robots, the students create their own projects with the help, of course, of their mentors and junior mentors. It's a pretty awesome program. This is at the middle school level, so when they get to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they'll work with my good friend Cheryl, who kind of runs that program. And if they stick with the program long enough, they can head to the high school with our high school team. We have one high school team, but it's much, much larger in terms of how many kids are on it because it's a much bigger program. It's really run a lot like a business. It's got a marketing team, it's got a safety team, it's got build, electrical, programming, it's got all the bits. You can see our robot right there in front, 4381, going for a climb on that top pedestal. And this is a picture of us as we were at the state championship, I believe, state or worlds, I'm not quite sure. No, that's the state championship a couple of years ago. So we have a high-end robotics team at the build facility, has a lot of equipment that the kids can learn how to use, fabrication equipment. It's a pretty awesome program if your child stays in it all the way till the end. So what about our program, First LEGO League? Last year was the 6th year of First LEGO League. We only had 5 teams last year. Usually we have about 8, 9, sometimes even 10. But it was much smaller due to the COVID year. People didn't want to do it virtually, and I don't blame them. But we still had 5 teams that wanted to continue, even though we knew we were going to be virtual. And so that's how our program kind of went. As we talk about First LEGO League, I have the same goals for our program every year, and it's not, well, we'll talk about what it is first. I want every child to have a chance to participate in this program. I do not want any hardships to get in your way. If Travel is a problem. If getting your kid to and from practices is a problem, please talk to me. Let's see if we can find a solution to that. Maybe hitch a ride with another kid that's local. Maybe we can do it right before or right after school as part of our program. As a before school program, sometimes we can even negotiate to get some middle school busing in there. Let's talk about some possible solutions for your child, and I think we can probably make it work. But it's really important to me that every child, if they want to participate, gets a chance to participate. Again, if finances is a hardship for you, let me know. There are scholarships available. There's a way to cover the cost of the program for you. So please, talk to me about that. If your child wants to participate, let's make that work for them. I really want these kids to have fun and be excited about robotics, about seeing their teammates, about coming to practice each day. There's just a whole lot of fun to be had here, and that's really important to me that continues to be to play a major role with our kids. They're going to learn some things along the way. We're going to make sure that it's a robust program, but they should come to practice ready to have some fun, ready to be excited, ready to be creative, ready to show what they can do as 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. I want them to demonstrate the creativity as they continue in their practices, teamwork, cooperation, and problem solving, and those become the focus of kind of what I'm looking for from a quality first LEGO League teammate. Is they're going to embody kind of those qualities. What's not on the list? At no point do I talk about winning awards, advancing to our state level, advancing to the next level, and earning. That's not what we're about. It's not about getting the highest score with your robot. We're not looking to do that. But why? Because winning to me, winning is not the end all and be all. We are not here to win awards, and at no point do I want the kids to feel like their season is not successful if they don't win a trophy at the end of it. That's not what this is about. If at the end of our season, these kids can look at each other and say, hey, we learned a lot, we had fun together, we produced a quality product, we produced the best product we thought we could as a team, then that's a successful season, and these kids can walk away with their heads held high and ready to tackle it again next year. But at the same time, I know that winning is more fun than not. When you come in at the very bottom of the league, that's not a fun place to be. It's not an exciting place to be. It's hard to have fun when you're not enjoying success. But the reality is, if these kids come and embody teamwork and show creativity and give their personal best each day, I know that success will follow. Will they win an award? Can I promise that we're going to win trophies? Can I promise we're going to states if we do all those things? Of course not. But I can promise that we will be a pretty successful team, and we will be in the running for all of those things. And so that's kind of what I look for in a team is come and be ready to give it your personal best every day. And I know that when it comes time for our competition, the success will follow. Success will be there, and pride, more than anything, will be our award. So, what do? We have to build a robot. We start with usually the educator bot. It's a pretty basic build. It's got directions, and then we kind of modify that robot as we go, as we run into our challenges, and we try to think, okay, how can we successfully maneuver through these challenges? But I will also say this, we don't have to start with the educator bot. We can do any type of robot we want. We can build anything we want. We can program anything we want. The only rule is it has to be made 100% of LEGO product. We have to create a solution to a real world problem. Last year that was being active. We wanted people to get more active, and the kids had an opportunity to find a creative solution to how do we get people more active. It has to be new, it has to be innovative, it has to be creative. It does not have to be a 100% functional product. We don't have to build a mock-up of it or build a working model of it or anything like that. It has to be an idea, but it does have to be a realistic idea, something that could really take place, that makes some sense. And we have to demonstrate how we've shown the core values, and the core values are our first core values, and they will follow these kids all the way through high school. The core values go all the way up through high school. And so you can see our core values listed here: innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, discovery, cooperation, and gracious professionalism. I'm going to focus on those last two just very briefly. The idea of cooperation is the idea that yes, we are competing against other teams, but unlike other sports models, if another team needs our help, we would help them. So if you think about baseball, football, or many other competitive sports, team competitive sports. If another team was missing a piece of equipment, it would be very unlikely for one team to help out another team with that equipment, or even with strategy. In robotics, it's more expected that teams will help each other with strategy. When we get to the high school team, they even share their data that they collect as they rate teams. They collect data on how each other's robots are doing, and they share that data with each other at the high school level. It's pretty impressive to watch. But the idea is that the competition happens on the field, and we're going to give it our best, and they're going to give it their best, and we'll see how things kind of shake out in the end. And the idea of gracious professionalism is just the idea that you hold yourself professional at all times, whether you're in the middle of the competition, whether you're walking in the hallways, even at practice. We produce gracious professionalism and this idea that we treat each other with respect and kindness. I love that concept as we kind of go through our robotics season. We use a programming language called LabVIEW. It's drag and drop, so we just kind of drag our programming modules up, and that's how we control our motors and our sensors and all those sorts of things. It's pretty awesome to watch these kids learn how to use this, and they're pretty successful with it once they get the hang of it. At this point, I would like to show you this year's season teaser. It's just about a minute long, and so I'd love it if you would just take a look at that. All right, welcome back. I'd like to talk about our team commitment. Our team commitment is usually two-hour practices each week. Sometimes there's a third practice on a weekend, especially once we get closer to competition date. Or we might break it up so that certain kids are coming a third time a week, maybe drive practice, those kinds of things. Sometimes it's right after school, so they just stay after. Sometimes it's right before school, so they'll meet for about an hour before school starts. Sometimes it's later in the evening, still here at Ryan, or maybe at the Build facility, which is just south on 38th Street, just south of G. Sometimes it's held at coaches' houses, if that's the way that works for the team. So there's a lot of flexibility about when and exactly practices are and how they work. But usually it's 2 or 3 times a week for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's the commitment, usually starting once school starts, going all the way until almost Christmas time. In years past, our first Saturday in November is a practice competition that we attend. It's a full day competition. It usually ends kind of early in the afternoon, but it starts early in the morning, starts around 8, ends around 2, 3 o'clock, something like that. It just depends on how many teams are there. It's usually placed in Grand Rapids. I don't know that that's something we're going to do again this year. But we've done it every year as long as it's offered, and that's what I mean. I don't know if it's going to be offered this year due to COVID adjustments. And then late November, early December would be our qualifying competition. This would usually be on a Saturday. It's a full day event. We do not know the date of our competition until usually pretty close to the competition. So we have to kind of keep those Saturdays open and available until we know exactly what day, and I will be in communication with all the families throughout the season as far as what the options are going to be, what day is it looking like it's going to be, but we won't know until probably late October what our competition date exactly is going to be. So, but I will talk to you about it. I will make sure you know where we are in the process of finding that out, but that's just kind of how it works with that. And then mid to late December, if states are available, would take place somewhere in Michigan. Our qualifying competition is usually within an hour of Gull Lake. Our state competition could be closer to 2 hours away or as much as 2 hours away. Again, it's a Saturday, it's a full day. And then I do want to take just a minute here to talk about COVID. Of course, last year we were virtual with a whole lot of things. Robotics was 100% virtual, even our competition was virtual. And I know there's going to be a lot of anxiety about, are we virtual again this year? What's going to happen? So, as with anything COVID related, I can't make promises. I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you this is exactly how it's going to be. I cannot do that. Here's what I can tell you. As it stands right now, unless there's a significant change, our practices will be in person. Our competition is supposed to be in person. I don't know how available spectators are going to be. I don't know if we'll be able, that part remains to be seen, but I expect the competition itself with the kids to be in person, and I expect states to happen, and I expect them to be in person as well. That's my expectation. That's the expectation from FIRST right now. That's what they're gunning for, that's what they're planning for, that's what everybody's kind of working towards. Now, do I think we may have a break in the action sometime during the school year? If the school goes virtual for a short while, we'll probably go virtual for a short while too. I will say this, we always follow the Gull Lake sports model, so if indoor sports are requiring something, we are likely to require the exact same thing. We would be considered a non-contact sport, so it would be more like club regulations. Do I expect masks to be required? I have no idea. No idea. But again, we're going to follow whatever the Gull Lake sports model is. So that's going to be kind of where we're at. Again, I will communicate everything that I know as soon as I know it, and I will definitely keep all the families in the loop as far as what we're planning to do for that. And as always, if you have questions or if you want to just try to help clarify something, feel free to send me an email, ask me a question. The worst I'm going to do is say, I don't know, and if it's a question I think that we could answer right now, I will find the answer for you even if I don't know it. So that's kind of where we're at on that. What does it take to make a successful program? A successful team, a successful FIRST LEGO League? It takes commitment from the kids. They need to be at practice. This is not an optional thing. This isn't something where they can go, I don't feel like going today. No, this is just like attending baseball practice, football practice, dance practice, everything that you signed up for. Once you've joined the team, the expectation is that you'll be there and give it your best every practice. Of course, things will come up. Maybe you're not feeling well. Maybe there are some other commitments. It would be requested that you talk to the coach, make sure to connect with them, and make sure that the coaches understand what the challenge is and how they're going to work around it. The coach may give that child a little bit of something to do between practices to try to help the team out in between. That's just kind of how it works, but there's a commitment from the kids, an expectation that they'll be at practice and they'll be at the competition. There is a fundraising component. In the past, we've asked each team to raise about $500. I don't think that's going to be that much this year, but there will be a fundraising component for each team, and we will talk more about that when the time comes, and exactly how that works. I need parent help. I am a volunteer. Everybody that's at our competitions is a volunteer. All of our coaches, assistant coaches are all volunteers. Nobody here gets paid to do this, and that's how the program kind of works. It works on the backs of people that say, hey, my kid is doing this, and so I'm going to help out where I can. So what could you do to help out? You could be a coach or an assistant coach, and there's no real prior experience necessary. You're going to be taking care of 7 kids around that for your team. You're going to be guiding them, but there's equipment and a lot of avenues for helping guide you to guide them. And of course, I'm going to be a resource for how to work with those kids as well. And as much as I can, I try to make at least part of a practice each week. Of course, last year it didn't go well because of COVID, but that's always my goal. And so I'm going to be there to help guide your team, guide your process. So if you haven't done it before, please consider giving it a try anyway, or signing up to do it, or at the very least, talking with me about the idea. If you're even considering being a coach or an assistant coach, talk with me about the idea. I'm not going to make you do it, but talk with me about the idea, and we can kind of go over what it looks like and sounds like, and then you can make an informed decision as to whether or not that's something that's going to be right for you. Each of our teams have to create a poster board and a project, and parents that are willing to help out with that, you might not have to be at exactly every practice, but if you're able to help out with that along the way, that can go a long ways towards helping your team being successful and helping those coaches be able to kind of help other kids doing some of the other things. I'd like each team to be posting towards some sort of social media, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, or maybe both, to try to kind of continue to keep parents and other teams in the loop on how everything's going. And so I'd love it if I had a parent for each team that kind of helped post maybe once every couple of weeks on Facebook about the team's progress and what they're doing and that kind of thing. A team photographer. Maybe you show up at the beginning and the end of each practice. Maybe you're not there for the whole thing, but as you're picking up your kid, you come maybe 10 minutes early and get a couple pictures of what's been going on. As the teams build their poster board at the end of that shows their project, photographs and pictures of their core values and of their progress along the way go a long way toward making that a success. They also make a presentation that those pictures might be helpful for as well. Someone that could provide snacks and lunches for a team. Teams do this different every time. Sometimes each kid brings their own snacks. Sometimes there's one parent that kind of does that for the team. And then organizing the lunch for your team on competition day could be a pretty important task for your team. Taking care of the team's paperwork. There's not a ton of this, but every team member has to be registered on first. Every team member has to have a consent and release form filled out and signed, and a team handbook that's signed. There's a couple other things. Just knowing that I have a go-to parent on a team where I can just send the paperwork home with that parent and say, hey, can you get the team to take care of this? And knowing that can get done without me having to follow up with all 50 team members across the program, that could be a big help. So each, someone who can take care of the paperwork on their team. Someone that can organize getting the supplies. I'm not saying you have to buy the supplies. In fact, no team should be spending, no coach, no parent should be spending any money on the program except for the registration fee. All that can be covered under our program, but organizing the purchase of those supplies, sending me the purchase order, sending me, hey, let's get this, and sending me the Amazon link, whatever it is, that would help your team out a lot, help your coaches out a lot, just being able to organize and get those supplies. And making buttons. Every year we, as teams go to the competitions, they have buttons that they pass out to each other team. It's a pretty fun little ordeal, but creating and making those buttons is a somewhat time-consuming process. It takes a couple hours. This is something you can do at home, though. You can take the button maker home and make those things off-site. I'll send you with the supplies and the know-how, and it's just a matter of watching your favorite soap opera or whatever, your drama, and while you're doing it, you're making buttons. And then website maintenance, posting anything that might be helpful for your team or helpful for our program on our website, and kind of keeping that up to date would be a big help for me in the program as well. So, how are teams formed is kind of a big question, and this is always kind of a little sticking point. One, I do talk a lot with the coaches about what did and didn't work the year before, who's good team members, who worked together well, who didn't work together well, and trying to form a team of diversity. Trying to form a team where kids that have done it before and kids that haven't done it before are all kind of mixed on a team. I try to mix up the grade levels. So 5th, 4th, and 3rd graders are mixed up on each team. If you have a sibling, a brother or a sister, there's a pretty high priority of following whatever your wishes are as a family. Sometimes people want those siblings on the same team. Sometimes they don't want them on the same team. They know they don't work well together. They'd rather have those kids split up for a while because they do everything together. And so it'd be great to have them on different teams. So as a parent, that's up to you. We'll work with you either way to try to make that happen. We do try to pay some respect to what times families have available, although that gets really challenging because we're trying to form teams in August and most people don't know their schedules coming up until later. And like I said, I try to spread out the resources, parent helpers, coaches, assistant coaches, try to make sure all the teams have what they need to be successful. And that gets us down to friends, which is usually the ones that become our big sticking point there gets to be this my kid wants to be on a team with this other kid, or they don't want to do it. And when I kind of hear that kind of screams to me that they don't really want to do robotics, they just want to do something with their buddy. And so I kind of question the dedication at that point. And I don't mind when parents say, hey, this is a friend of theirs and it would be awesome if they were on the same team. That's not a problem. I can't promise that'll happen, right? I can't promise they'll be on the same team, but as I'm forming teams, I will keep it in my head that those two kids would like to be on a team together. But I will tell you that that's probably one of the last things I look at. It's one of the last things as I'm making teams that I'm peeking at. Does it come up? Yep, usually. Usually it's something I do take a look at, but I'm not gonna take out some of the other things. I'm not gonna put all the resources on one team because these kids want to be on a team together. That doesn't make sense. So just be a little bit careful about if your child won't do it if they aren't on a team with a certain other kid. That's not always the best way to go. So, but yeah, keep me informed as to that kind of stuff. And like I say, I do take it into account. Which brings us to our final couple of slides here. How do I sign up? We do have a website for First Lego League, for Gull Lake's First Lego League. You can find it at bit.ly/RyanFLL, all lowercase. You could email me and say, hey, Mr. English, my kid's ready to sign up. Just looking for the link. I'll send it to you. You can go directly to the sign up sheet. It's found at bit.ly/GLFLL21. It stands for Gull Lake FLL First Lego League, 21 being the year 2021. It is all capital letters if you're going to do that. So bit.ly/GLFLL21. After you sign up, and some time after you sign up, probably a couple weeks after sign up kind of starts to slow down, I will start to send out some information and confirm that you signed up, and start to let you know about our how to pay the registration fee, how we're going to form teams, how and when those teams might start getting together, that kind of stuff. You'll start to get that information. So that brings me to my last slide. My email is penglish@gullakecs.org. Don't forget 3 L's in Gull Lake, GULLLAKECS.org. Don't forget the CS at the end. The sign-up sheet link is right there, bit.ly/GLFLL21. Our webpage link, bit.ly/RyanFLL. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, wonderings, please don't hesitate to ask. Send me an email. And even if you just want to talk, send me an email, say, hey, can we chat for a little bit? We'll arrange a time. I'll give you a call, or we can hop on to Zoom or Google Meet and have a little video conference. I'm happy to talk with you. I'm happy to talk with your child. I'm happy to talk with anybody that's kind of wondering what's going on. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this, and if this is right for your child, you know how to sign up, and if you decide this just isn't the direction you want to go, that's okay too. You're still welcome to email me and say, hey, this isn't right for us, but if you have other robotics opportunities, please let us know. I did a robotics camp over this summer. I plan to do robotics classes next summer again. So maybe your child can get involved with robotics in a much shorter time frame. And so just let me know that, and I can put you on that email list as well, that as some other opportunities come up, you're on the list. So thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day.